Hi, and welcome to the Sad Experience podcast number 1. My name is Adult Supervision. If you saw from my teaser, this is the Sad Experience at the night shift break room. And as we say at the good old job, you know, if you didn't come to work with PTSD, you sure as hell was leaving with it. I am here with a couple of my friends, and they're pretty awesome. We're just a couple people that work in behavioral mental health, and it's a little insane. First person that is part of the crew is
VitD,
or vitamin D deficiency, however you want to call them, but for all intents and purposes, we're calling them VitD. My other co-host,
it's your boy, Shits and Gigs.
Gigs for short, you know, just to keep it a little PG-13.
Yeah.
But welcome, and we're glad to have you. Who we are. So my name is Adult Supervision. When I was a kid, I would go to anime conventions, and I had a cousin.
What a nerd.
I had a cousin that every time they used the badge name was Adult Supervision, and I've just carried that with me. So every year for Halloween, I would literally put that as my costume, just a name tag, Adult Supervision, and the patients would get a kick out of it. But honestly, that's kind of what you're doing in mental behavioral health, is you are the glorified babysitter and you are adult supervising.
you're adult.
And that would be me and my cohorts. So that's kind of, you know, I kind of kept with that, and so that's why I have the name I have. You can call me Adult Supervision, you can call me Soup, call me what the hell you want. Just honestly, I'm
Call me on a Friday night.
Hey.
I work Fridays.
So do we. What a coinky.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Call me on a Wednesday night.
You work next Wednesday.
Shut the fuck up.
So anyway, that's why I just kept with adult supervision. I thought that was mostly appropriate for what we're going to be doing during this podcast, and I'll probably be running it. So anyway, VitD, go ahead and explain yours.
I feel like mine is pretty self-explanatory. When you work at night, you just...
There's no vitamin D in Monster.
Or Rockstar. Or Red Bull.
But they come in
Or
these cute
Celsius.
little vitamins that your doctor talks about, but you don't pick it up because you're too tired.
Shit, I've been drinking this coffee because now I'm tired, but faster.
Oh yeah, speaking of coffee, my coffee of choice right now is a Starbucks with some pumpkin spice.
Did you say a Starbucks?
Yes, a Starbucks.
All right, boomer.
Well, you know, just
why
like drinking it.
she's adult supervision. She's the adult to your adult.
I guess. So what else, though? What got you into...
What got me into mental health? I had a horrible childhood, and I decided to use this ungodly burden of my life to make other people's lives better.
Because you didn't want someone to hurt as much as you've done.
Exactly.
Oh.
I know.
That's so sweet.
Sweet moment. I'm really a terrible person. I probably shouldn't.
You're
do
not a
this.
terrible person. You just...
Do terrible things.
What?
What? No. Yeah, no. That's true. I make bad, impulsive decisions all the time.
Don't we all?
I mean,
mine's real bad.
No.
but we still love you for it.
Exactly.
All right.
And I'm your boy, Shits and Gigs. Why did I make that? I mean, the main reason is because I'm always like the funny one on the floor. Everyone knows me as being very composed and chill. But I mean, I'm always like the humor and like calm everyone down. So I think Shits and Gigs was good. Once you hear from all these podcasts in the future, there's a lot of shits that we deal with. So it's the Shits and Gigs, you feel me?
Because if you can't laugh at the shift, you're not making it.
Yeah, you'll probably end your life.
Well, not just end your life. You might just say, nah, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
That or you will in your life.
Oh, yeah.
One or the other will happen. Sorry, unalive ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's...
But I got into the field, I mean, pretty early on, like, especially, like, in high school, I knew I wanted to, like, do psychology. And I had a homie that told me, hey, try this different field instead of psychology, because psychology, you have to get a PhD to make any money. So I tried that out and really enjoyed it. I was really interested in the brain. So I do more of like a therapy approach. And yeah, I'm a foreigner, so there's a lot of no mental health in different cultures. I didn't really like that, and I'm all feely, so, try to help people with their feelies. Oh, yeah.
I think the reason why I got into mental health was similar to Vit D. I had a magical childhood. It was very magical. And I think if I was gonna get paid to deal with people's problems, sure. But the other end of it too was I never wanted someone to go through what I went through. And, I wish I had someone like me in their corner that would advocate, that may not walk the same shoes as like one of our patients, but I absolutely understand exactly where they're coming from. But you can't say that because HIPAA, very much like this podcast, is going to be happening. We ain't violating no HIPAA rules. So that being said, I actually wanted to be an English teacher of all things because I was really good at writing and English was my strongest subject. And then I went to college and one of the prerequisites is you had to take was psychology, and that was it. I was like, Jedi mind tricks, I know this by heart. I can easily do it because like one of this very famous TikTokers I watch, they use Jedi mind tricks in their real life, and so do I. So I think that's where it stemmed from. And then I got my psychology associate's and bachelor's degree, and I just started looking for positions that I might help somebody because I knew I either wanted to help the victims of abuse or I wanted to put away the bad guys. So it's either forensic psychology or I wanted to do some form of psychoanalyst, or I either wanted to do put away the bad guys, so forensic psychology, or I wanted to help the victims with like clinical or psychoanalyst psychology.
See, fun fact, I didn't want to do this to begin with.
It showed you.
I did not choose this life. It chose me. I wanted to be a mortician. I wanted to make...
Can you psychoanalyze dead people?
I mean, you can. It's not going to go anywhere.
I mean, if you see dead people, be like a clinical psychologist.
You can analyze their brains.
Oh, that's true.
They have such nice brains. Brains are so fun.
Dude, work on my current job. It'll change your mind.
I mean...
Once you see it gush out, it's a bit...
I mean, yeah.
And that's fun.
I guess it depends on the platform you are seeing it.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep. Or bed.
Or bed. Yeah,
Good times.
Or,
But we'll eventually get into those stories as we continue these episodes. So it sounds like we have a lot in common. But along with wanting to be a mortician, how did you even get into this field?
Oh, so I really wanted to help people. That was like my main thing. I always wanted to help people. I just didn't know how. I thought I wanted to help dead people.
How do you help a dead person?
Get them safely from their bed to the coffin.
I would say you're helping.
So not spirit, like you're not talking to spirits or anything. You're actually like talking about physical bodies, moving them from point to point.
I would say that's helping their family, not them.
Well, yeah.
They're
That's
dead.
still helping people.
Well,
Yeah.
would you be like a grief counselor at some point?
I thought about that. I really did. And then I realized I'd have to deal with children.
You can work in grief
I
work
love
without
children, don't get me wrong, but also fuck with kids.
You could definitely get into grief and loss and stuff like that, but
I mean,
the stuff that you experience, because I've had a job where I worked like as a grief and loss therapist,
Oh, absolutely.
and
I feel like I can make it in life.
you don't talk
as-
about the grief as much.
Yeah, I feel like I can make it like that if I really wanted to, but for right now, I'm content where I am.
that was actually the population I actually wanted to get into, was helping kids. Like that was the main reason that I wanted to work in mental health, because again, a kid that has slipped through the cracks of the system, where I never got to go to foster care. My family, they may have done some awful, terrible things, but dang it, you're gonna stay in the family. And if I had half the services that we offer in this country for kids that we provide now, and it's not great services, by the way, but it was better than what I endured, and having someone who cares and is an advocate for that, absolutely. And so I actually spent half a decade taking care of kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But where I worked, you got the front row to an absolute hell of what they endured. And I'm talking we're talking kids ordered by the state, we're talking kids in the worst situations you can think of. And death of children is a big one, and it is so sad and so scary, but
That's why I'm not a mortician.
but then you see the live ones, the ones that have endured, that should be unalived or should not be here. And
That's what makes you keep doing it.
yeah, But at the same time, the burnout is so bad. There's a reason why I lasted as long as I did, and then I decided to move to a different population because it got too much.
Oh yeah, it's crucial, I think, to find the right area of mental health that you're gonna work in, which is kind of weird for me considering how I ended up in this position, because I really went from like dead people to some
almost dead people.
Yeah.
I mean, a big thing in this field too is what I've learned in my experience for a couple of jobs is that you don't really know what area you want to be in. You learn about what area you don't want to be in. You get out of that and you try new. So that's definitely my favorite part about this career.
Okay. So when I got into the field that I did, especially when I was in college, I kind of had an inkling, like, okay, I'll be helping people. Specifically, again, I wanted to help the victims because there was no one to help with me at all, period. And what you think versus the reality of it is so vastly different. And what I mean by that is, I thought like, okay, I'm gonna work as a team with somebody, or maybe I'll get like an office and I'll help like these kids, or I'll help these patients, or I'll help these adults that like just need someone to listen to them. And the reality is absolutely fucking not. Like there is a reason why mental health workers are, especially for behavioral mental health, so we're talking like BHTs, we're talking professional therapists, we're talking those that are on the floor that are facing these patients or with them on their daily life, have the most injuries, have the quickest burnout, they don't last very long in this field. And we'll go into that later during these podcasts. But my reality was baptism by fire. I literally was fucking pushed. There was no teaching, no tests, no paper I could write that would prepare me for what I would experience. When I was told anything and everything could happen, that was the biggest understatement I've ever seen. Like,
they sit upon a throne of lies.
They really fucking do. And Jesus Christ, I can't even begin. I can't wait to get into these stories as we come up to give you an idea, because as we were coming to this podcast, right, I have tried looking for something as honest and raw as what we were going to try and attempt to do. I talked to a coworker of mine, and she's like, yeah, the closest thing that I've seen for like this perspective was this website that does like mini stories that someone writes out, and that's it. Like, I don't see a podcast quite like this, except for this one. His name is Steve. He's an ER nurse, or an ex-ER nurse, and I mean, it deals with the ER, but what we're discussing is like residential inpatient facilities that deal with like kids and adults and specific disorders, and what a coworker or a person could go through when they're in this. Obviously, we're protecting HIPAA and people and patients and of course ourselves, but when we discuss some of these stories and these personal experiences, it is not a test or a paper we get into. It is very much,
it's either you do it or you
find a new job. Yeah, exactly. And for some of us, that's the only option we have. We have families, and it pays decent, but you also don't know your worth.
Does it?
It depends on
my
the
first
area.
one is the area that I worked at. That was one of the higher paying jobs around that area.
In the field?
Well, yeah, in the field, right.
What was it, like $6 an hour?
Well, that's if you were an intern. But my position was like $12. And the joke I have is like, you two for $12 can be thrown against the wall.
And I could do that for free.
Well, shit, I got overpaid then.
Yeah.
It costs $0 to fuck somebody up.
It's like going to the dentist. It feels like you're going to get slapped in the mouth and you're paying for it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then they told you, it's okay, just pretend that never happened. Tomorrow's a new day. As you're like bandaged up and like maybe a broken rib or a wrist or something. And then the patient kind of laughs at you and says, hey, remember that time where I pissed on you? Yeah, I remember. It was a couple hours ago.
And then managers will be like, hey, we're here to help support you. And you'll be drowning saying, hey, I need support. And they're like, not now.
Oh, and don't forget the infamous pizza parties from Little Caesars.
Yeah.
You ain't worth that domino price.
Wounds may heal, but these memories won't, Martha.
Literally. Hey, supervisor, can I have a raise? No. Did you not see the pizza in the staff lounge? That is your raise. One slice.
I can't wait to talk about my one and only raise I got.
You had a raise?
I did, but we're gonna save that for another day. Let me tell you, big spender.
So that's what you expected out of like the field and what you actually saw. What about you?
What did I expect? I expected mostly that I'd be helping people, which to say that I don't is an understatement, because I feel like from the many notes and well wishes from some of the patients, some of the clients that we work with, I feel like I make a good impact on them, you know, when they need it. But some of them are such loose cannons that by the time they leave, you're like, that one's not going anywhere.
No, that's a returner.
I'll see you in a month.
I'll see you in a month, maybe a week.
And the what's really disheartening is the ones that you do get that you think make an impact. Yeah,
And they come back anyway.
Not even that. The upper leadership's like, hey, don't get attached.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I'm supposed to like, and that's the other thing. You develop years, or not years isn't for the return ones, but like you are with them for a good like 6 weeks to 8 months, and then they're like, okay, they're gone. Pick it up. Here's a new one.
Like,
and you'll never hear from them again.
I mean, sometimes, but all you can do is really hope for the best with them. Like, you're not allowed to have any contact with them, inside or out.
Absolutely.
After they leave.
7 years.
Yeah, for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, you can make contact with a client after 7 years.
After 7 years.
That's a thing I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
We're gonna learn things on this channel.
Oh boy.
I'm the educated one.
I'm the one with the experience, but also not with the experience.
Hi, I'm 50.
You're the baby. You're the baby of the group.
I'm baby Steph.
So that's what you expected. What did you get?
What did I get?
What did you get?
I got
Trauma.
PTSD. That's
and you left with it, didn't you?
Sure did.
And cut. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, for real, like, expand on that if you could.
I definitely got a lot of experience with a whole new area than what I was thinking. I expected you would walk into a rehab or some sort of detox facility. I don't know, just anywhere they need behavioral and mental health technicians. And you would get the experience that you'd be like this patient's or client's personal, like,
Assistant,
basically. Yeah.
I used to joke that it was like I was a glorified security guard babysitter.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you learn about their problems, learn about their history, learn about them in general, be able to make that connection and help them feel better.
Yeah.
What I got was, hey, learn about this person, get to know them, and then don't talk to them ever again.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the most disheartening thing, because you'll never know like what happened. You can like hope that's something good and that they conquered it, but you'll never really know unless the upper leadership has whispers in the grapevine, and even then you're not permitted to know that.
And
or you're
even
not
then,
out.
you're like not even 100% sure it's true.
Exactly. All right, Gigs, what about you?
I mean, I kind of went into it wanting like the therapy specifically, so I got my master's in this because I'm a schmuck and in so much debt now.
Ain't that a bitch?
Oh yeah, the lie they told us if we went into like mental health, we'd like make like 6 figures.
Yeah.
That was a fucking lie.
So I expected like individual therapy. Tell me how you feel. Let's be consistent. Like, you're my client. You're gonna pay to see me by choice. That kind of stuff. Like when you think of like the average Joe Schmo being in therapy.
Oh yeah, consistency is not a thing.
Yeah. So that's what I expected. And, like having my own office, kind of like adult supervision said, like having my own space, making it my own, having my own style, making my own decisions.
Because you'd see that like on TV or like movies and things, or
and
like
in school too.
Exactly.
Like, they talked about like your own space and like making your own rapport with your own clients, building your clientele, kind of reaching out, going to places like Psychology Today and like advertising yourself and your skills. Especially like with having the masters, I was trained in like multiple different therapeutic modalities, so I have that under my belt, so I would be able to put that on Psychology Today. So I took all those thinking that I'd be like making like a resume pretty much for why you should have me as your therapist.
Can I ask a question? So when you were in college, right, do you use what you've learned in your master's program for what your clients need today?
Yeah, that's kind of the nice thing, but it's not like okay, I'm thinking about this and I'm using it. It's more like grad school beat those lessons into you,
right?
Which sucked during it, but honestly, I do value a lot of the lessons because they become like automatic responses. So what I would say is the biggest thing that you learn and kind of it becomes valuable for you is, I'm sure you guys have experience with this too, is like crisis management. When shit's hitting the fan, you have to know what to do.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Regardless of if in your head you know what to do, you might not. You might be panicking and worried.
Yeah.
But in that moment, because our job at the end of the day is to ensure the patient's or client's safety.
And well-being.
That's it.
Yep.
Nothing else. Doesn't matter if you're in a jail, a recovery center, working with DUIs, an emergency room. It literally doesn't matter. The only goal as a health practitioner, mental health or physical, is the safety and well-being of the patient.
Yeah.
So having those skills, that usually it comes out. You figure it out. And a lot of the stuff that I learned in grad school just comes up randomly. Like I just figure it out.
Let me ask, so for example, I went to a therapist a long time ago because that was a thing I had to do.
Magical childhood.
Yeah. So they compared my whole situation to something they had learned in a book because they're like, oh, well, this was taught to me, so I'm going to teach it to you. Do you comprehend what you do from a book and then translate it to your client or patient, or do you put your own spin on it?
Well, it depends what book too, because if you're talking about the diagnostic manual, whatever it's
Oh,
called.
that's different.
No. Like
Okay, so just
like,
a different book.
like the by the book type of thing.
Okay.
I would say it depends on the therapist that you're seeing. I mean, you guys have worked with me. You know I have a very different style than most people that worked around me.
Right.
I mean, yes and no. Like, let's say an experience that I've had is I'm certified in cognitive behavioral therapy. There are books for cognitive behavioral therapy that I'll be like, oh, you sound like an example that I read in this book. And this is A, B, and C. These are things that happen. These are things that worked. The only time that I would use that as an experience working in a therapeutic sense to help you, though, it has to be stuff that has been tested and works with people.
Right.
I'm not just going to be like, oh, you sound like this book. I'm going to do exactly what the book sounds or says. I'm going to feel it, see what your situation is, and see what I could get from the book and give that to you.
Right.
Rather than just like being verbatim.
Right.
Because as you guys know too, a big part in our field is the better workers in our field are the ones that personalize it to the patients. That doesn't always work, which is a hard thing about the job. We'll talk about this a lot, but you cannot fully personalize everything to every patient, but the good experiences come from personalizing.
Right. I think it also depends on like how you yourself are putting things together in your brain to make it make sense for the patient or client. Because back to my therapy session, they compared my situation to borrowing a lawnmower and then returning it broken to my neighbor. And
What?
I don't know. It made no sense.
How magical was his childhood?
Not a great one. Not a great one. But I think it's also like a reading the room type of thing.
Oh yeah. Therapy is always reading the room.
Oh yeah. That particular therapist did not.
Yeah. And a big thing too that I was always taught, and I tell patients and clients this all the time, is that our job is not to have like the answers or anything. The patients are the experts of their own life. Our job is to get them to talk about it, and we kind of connect the pieces with them.
And help them kind of
So if
figure
you're
it out.
telling me not the full story, I can't help as much as you can't share.
Right.
And also, if I pick up like the wrong information from your story, I'm gonna help you in the wrong way.
That's true.
So that's why
That's
rapport
true.
building and understanding like the entire dynamic is so important. But I mean, like that was the expectation. But going into it, it ended up being a lot of half-assed teamwork. A lot of different styles that don't mesh, but people not realizing that they have different styles. So there's a lot of grief from one to another. Some of them are vindictive. Some of them feel like they have something to prove. Speaking as a person of color, a big thing that I noticed is there's a lot of God complex people. They just want to save people, which is not the goal of this job. You're not there to save them. You're there to try to help them learn some tools and just make their life just a little bit better than
Just
before.
helping them use their coping skills.
Yeah.
And then move them along to the next stage of therapy or going home.
Yeah, like what I always say is if patient A out of 10 for happiness is at a complete 0, my goal is to make that at least a 0.0001.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's an increase. But there's a lot of back and forth with dads, and the one thing I really don't like about the field that I've experienced is there's a lot of politics involved in it.
Unfortunately.
There's a lot of kind of watching your mouth, being careful, and treading lightly.
Yeah.
Not with the patients. It's a lot of like management work and stuff like that, and that stops you from doing your job. And then management also not trusting you because of liability's sake, which I understand. So them stopping you from doing your job.
And like you'll notice that those rules are a little bit like, especially at night,
They are more.
they're very relaxed. But I mean, obviously there's the big lines that you don't reveal too much of your personal information because they can use that against you. But like you can't. That's one thing I love about night shift is you can like be that neutral party because they don't see you unless they have a nightmare or they can't sleep because they got insomnia or something, and you can be like, here's where you're fucking up. And you can say it like that too. And that, what I love about that is when they sleep, that's repeating in their head while they sleep. So the next day they see their therapist or whatever, and they kind of bring it up.
Like, it's like a whole new idea that you've implanted in their head, something for them to think about and reflect on.
Yeah.
Planting a seed.
Exactly.
All right. Well, y'all, I just had my last sip of coffee. So that means we need to start wrapping this up. I hope you guys enjoyed our cute little podcast, and we're going to try and upload at least one episode every couple weeks. If we can do more, we will do more. As always, I am Adult Supervision.
I'm Vit D.
And I'm your boy.
Shits and gigs.
Good job, Vit D. Way to do it, buddy. Anyway, keep your coffee strong and your spirits high, and
Don't die.
don't quit.
Don't quit, guys.
Management can't
Not
afford,
worth it.
Management can't afford that.
They can't replace you.
They like to
I
think
mean,
they
they can. They're just not gonna get the best work
Yeah,
ethic.
but don't.
And remember, you're replaceable.
Unless they're offering that free pizza party. All right, guys, have a good one.